Tonight, we're taking you inside the local food line where police say two customers clashed over a turkey, resulting in one man pulling out a gun and pointing it in the other man's face. A customer shared that video of that violence with Fox 8 this afternoon, and it's given us a clearer picture about what happened before these shots were fired outside the store on North Main Street in High Point. Welcome to the Fox 8 6 o'clock news. I'm Michael Hennessy.
I'm Katie Nordine. We have now learned 64-year-old Mark Foy and 55-year-old Antonio Johnson are each being charged with going armed to the terror of the public and causing a fight in a public place, causing fear to the people in the area. Fox 8's Gretchen Stinger joins us now live in High Point. So, Gretchen, what are people saying about what exactly happened here?
Well, Katie, Michael, most people were actually really hesitant to speak to me about the shooting that happened last night. I did speak to a woman off camera, and she says she comes to this grocery store pretty frequently to grab her groceries, and she needed to do so today, which she was a bit hesitant, but she says she still came, but she felt like her senses were heightened while she was grabbing her groceries. Police say it all started when a customer began to argue with a Food Lion employee over a turkey. While that wasn't captured on video, this was when another customer stepped in and two customers got into a fight and a gun was pulled. Police are now naming the two men, 64-year-old Mark Foy and 55-year-old Antonio Johnson.
Everybody get out! No! Don't pull your gun! He got a gun! Don't pull your gun! Don't pull your gun! Stop! Put the gun down!
Eventually, Foy and Johnson stopped fighting and walked opposite ways to exit the store. You can see that here. But it's what happens after the video that left people running for their lives. We get a glimpse of that terrifying moment through a 9.
So of course, I did a initial video when this news broke. Two men, one in his 50s, one in his 60s, both, towards the middle ages of, the 50s and 60s, are charged with having, firearms in public. And yeah, this is this story is wild because it all started because one of the customers were they were disgruntled over the turkey promotion that Food Lion is having, and they were disgruntled with the employee. One of the other customers came from his checkout counter that he was at over to confront the man in order to take up for the employee, and then a fist fight ensued, which resulted in one of the individuals pulling out his firearm. Which he was trying to do it in defense because he was getting his head beat in. But then it escalated because the other gentleman parted ways out the door to retrieve his own firearm, and then outside they it is said that a shootout between the two ensued. So both individuals are being charged, which I do agree with, because both individuals are guilty at this point. They both had a chance to walk away and calmer heads didn't prevail. And like the reporter was saying, a lot of people are not just going to get on camera and speak on this type of situation because, like I said, they shop at this Food Line frequently. And High Point is a city, but it's not a very big city to the point where you may not see individuals again. And you just you never know who's family with who and who knows who. So you kind of definitely don't want to get on the local news, just kind of giving your opinion, because it could have negative ramifications against you or your family and stuff like that. And as they were saying, the customer was saying, she shops at that Food Line frequently, and her, senses was very heightened. And that's you should be like that regardless of if something happened or not. You always want to stay, vigilant with your head on a swivel, because you just never know, when something can happen. And when things are going to occur. And it's just best to always be aware of, versus being sorry later. And I mean, these guys are in their 50s and 60s, so you would think that I know the guy was trying to definitely assist the employee, but in situations like this, I'm sure Food Line would rather you approach a manager and or I know the employee definitely I eventually was going to call their manager over in order to have a communication with the customer, so that the customer, if they didn't understand the promotion, would be able to get a better understanding, because a lot of times um customers, they they're definitely going to come at the people that's on the front line, which at this point is the cashier. But once a manager steps in, a lot of times it kind of de-escalates the situation. They are taught de-escalation tactics and procedures and stuff like that. So this situation could have been handled a lot of different ways. It's unfortunate that both of these individuals will get charges and have court dates, and maybe pay a lot of money to hire a defense of themselves in this situation. Um, it could be a civil suit. You just never know what's going to happen in the aftermath of all this. But yeah, both individuals charged, which I do believe is justified. And you know it's the holiday season, so you definitely look to expect any and everything to kind of happen out here, um, especially when people get disgruntled and stuff like that. Man, like me knowing and working in this type of environment, having been employed by a Food Line at one point in time in my life, I do know to when it's something that I'm not able to de-escalate, we're trained to definitely seek management in order to assist us, because that's what they're there for. They're there to manage the store, manage these type of situations, and overall, when you're on that clock, that is your boss. So um, I don't think there's really too much more I can say about this situation. Again, I'm glad nobody else was hurt. I'm glad it didn't, get even more wilder to where it would have been mass people with injuries, or it could have been a casualty. And I feel like, the law enforcement handled this the best way they could, which was pretty fair with charging both of these individuals that committed this act. And hopefully, this is one of the last stories we hear about stuff like this happening, especially out in public, because I mean, we all know emotions are running high. We just had a government shutdown. People were without their assistance and things of that nature, and some people um, are not as well off as they want to be and stuff like that. And like I said in the first video, these guys could have been both having a bad day, and just by chance, two people having a bad day, end up clashing. But I understand, like, pulling your gun for defense, but like I said, when you pull that thing, you better be ready to use it. And you know, that's just about it. So, definitely be careful out there. When you're doing your holiday shopping, keep your head on the swivel, stay aware, um, just make sure that you're being safe this holiday season, because you just really never know. But I'm gonna go ahead and close this video out. If you liking my content, Please like, comment, and subscribe. And again, this is Justin Paul. Peace.